Hello, and welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and I'm joined as always by my good friend Mike Luciano. Mike, we are streaming at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday right now. It's a weird time for us to be streaming. It's night outside right now. It's dark outside, and I feel weird streaming right now, but we had to do this. We had to go live because today is one of the most monumental days in New York Jets franchise history, I would say, an earth-shattering day. Mike, the Jets traded for Jasir Taylor. And I didn't know.
Now is not the time.
Do you remember where you were when the Jets traded for Jasir Taylor? Because I do. I was sitting right here at this desk writing about the Jets trading away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams.
You're really chipper for a guy.
Look, man, it's been a day.
Just saw his franchise alter the course of everything.
Yep.
It's only appropriate. I have to do this before we really get into it.
You don't know the bag. Is it? Is this get us content? Is this bad?
I found the Taps YouTube video.
Is YouTube gonna have a problem with us doing that? I hope not.
I like how we were looking at it. Like, how is that noise coming out?
For a second, I thought you had a recorder, and I thought you were playing that. But I was like, "Oh my god, he could play the recorder. That's cool."
A recorder? It's a trumpet.
I know but I knew you weren't holding a trumpet. I know what a trumpet looks like.
So
you were holding a recorder.
Sauce Gardner is an Indianapolis Colt.
Yep.
A sentence that I never thought I'd say. Quinnen Williams is a Dallas Cowboy, a move we maybe thought we'd say.
And Adonai Mitchell is a New York Jet. And
is it Adonai, not Adonai?
Oh, is it Adonai?
I think it's Adonai.
AD Mitchell. AD Mitchell.
Mozzie Smith, who may be the worst player in the league, and Jasir
Hey, respect Tyler Barron.
Are now, and both of them together are now New York Jets, along with 3 first-round picks and 1 second-round pick. Yep. You know where to find us, by the way, Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all those different platforms. And on YouTube, you can like the stream, you can subscribe, you can do all that stuff here, get notifications when we go live, join our membership, all that. But we got to talk about this.
Brian says we're kind of late today. I would argue we're early. I would argue we're a little under 24 hours early.
So what do you want to do? Sauce first, Quinnen first, or macro picture?
Let's maybe macro picture is like the best idea to go first, because I feel like the trades blend into one another and they kind of, I don't know, underscore like an overall ideology that the Jets had clearly approaching this deadline is for, why Sauce Gardner was available, why Quinnen Williams was available, and why someone like Garrett Wilson was not, because Garrett Wilson was not made available. Teams were calling about him, and as
they didn't trade Quincy Williams, and they
didn't trade Quincy. They didn't trade Breece Hall, even though Breece Hall apparently wants to be traded.
I do like all those guys that are like, yeah, let's extend Jermaine. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything with this organization.
They didn't trade Jermaine. They didn't trade Alan Lazar. They didn't trade Michael Clemens, but they sure as hell did trade. You could argue the 2 best players in the roster. I would say 2 of the top 3 players, undisputed.
That's just Jets draft pick in what, 10 years?
Yeah. Now, Mike, you and I have differing thoughts on this. You have been the sourpuss throughout the day. We've been talking about this a lot in our chat, in our work chat. I think I'll take the more devil's advocate approach. I think you're going to be the more negative Nancy here, kind of saying.
Well, because here's the thing. Let's talk about the 2 trades individually, because that's where I'm split. The Quinnen trade, if they only did that, I would be the Mooge's strongest soldier. Because look, we love Quinnen Williams. We think he's a great player. We're really scared about the defensive line room without him, because Barron is an understatement. It's Tyler Barron, some would say. So the Jets get now. Mozzie Smith is a complete throw-in. He's a waste of a player. He's not going to contribute long term for the Jets. The Cowboys are just like, please get this off our hands. And the Jets said 1 in a million. They bought a pick 6 ticket, maybe. Okay, fine. Then they get a second-round pick this year, which Dallas will probably be kind of a mid-500 team, I think, by the end of the year.
You think they get to 500? I don't even know.
I mean, around it, 7 wins, 8 wins.
Yeah, I think they win like 7 games.
Which means that'll probably be in like the middle, maybe it would be number 12, number 13 overall in the first round. So that pick might be in the 40s.
Which helps because you don't have a 3rd-round pick, thanks to Son Reddick.
They don't have a third, but now they have 4 picks in the top 50, possibly.
Yep.
So they get that, and then they get, I've never heard of this. This is like an NBA-style trade because of the Packers picks in 2027. Whichever of the Packers or Cowboys are worse, probably the Cowboys, the Jets will get that pick.
Yeah.
I've never heard of an NFL trade with that. That's like an NBA thing.
Me neither. I don't know if it's ever happened. I'm sure Brian, our resident historian, will be able to tell us. I don't know if that's ever happened before. I can't remember it ever happening. I think it was originally reported that it was the Cowboys pick, and then it was like, actually, it's whichever team is worse. And I either way, I was like, well, the Cowboys are probably going to be worse.
That's a hell of a deal for a guy who did not want to be there and told him that multiple times very loudly.
Yeah, and there's more details even coming out. I don't think we realized just how badly Quinnen wanted out. It was something that we had talked about a lot in the show over the last few weeks, that the Quinnen Williams situation was kind of coming to a head, but you and I both agreed this was probably more of an off-season discussion, unless the Jets
he makes a stink, and he made a stink.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I don't think they were going to trade him unless they received a haul like this. I mean, this is a package that you can't turn this down. There was originally, I believe it was Rosenblatt reported that maybe the asking price or the league valued him around like a second-round pick was what was reported, I think, like a week or two ago, and that the Jets were asking for a first-round pick plus something else. Well, they got a first and a second, and Mozzie Smith is whatever, but they got a first and a second for a guy who is, I mean, as Connor Hughes reported today, he had requested a trade 3 different times. He has $5 million remaining on his guaranteed or in guarantees on his contract, so he's likely going to want a new deal, and he had no intentions of signing that deal in New York. I think. I mean, if you can get that, like, you take that 10 times out of 10.
Exactly. And as Brian Sternbeck says here, Quinnen had every right to want out in year 7 after playing meaningful December football games one time in 6. That deal, I don't want to say it's a perfect trade, but I would call that, I don't want to say win-wins. I think the Cowboys may have overpaid, but they needed a guy like Quinnen Williams. They got a guy like Quinnen Williams, and the Jets got a haul that we were saying a first and a third you consider it. They got a first and a second.
First and a third
from a team that's not even like the Colts or whatever. Like, they're going to be later in the year. The Cowboys might be in the top half of the second round. That's a top 50 pick, and then you get protection. That trade, I don't want to say no problems with it because this defensive line room is going to be so terrible without him. But macro picture, no problems with that. The Sauce trade, that's a little bit of a different animal.
All right, yeah. I mean, look, if they got a first and a third from like the Niners for Quinnen, I'm probably taking that too. So the fact that they got a first and a second from a worse team, a team that is definitely going to be picking lower, and got the pick protection in 2027. I mean, it's just, I wouldn't call it a win-win trade because I do think Dallas absolutely overpaid. Now, Quinnen is an awesome player. He's a phenomenal football player who, he's not having his best pass rush season. I think part of that has been lack of talent around him. Teams getting the ball up very quickly. I would expect that pass rush production to uptick now that he's playing alongside Kenny Clark and other guys in Dallas, although that Dallas defense also is obviously horrific. It's a little less horrific now they got Quinnen Williams. But, I mean, look, Jerry Jones wanted to stop the run. They just got a guy who is the best interior run defender in the NFL this season. So it's not, I can't say it's like a bad trade for Dallas, but they certainly overpaid. And I'm floored the Jets were able to get this much for a player who clearly wanted out, who had a lot of leverage going into the offseason. He would have had leverage to ask out if he wanted to. I mean, look, I said this on Twitter too. Shout out Quinnen Williams for not taking this public. I mean, he had every right to, as Brian said, want out and even request a trade publicly. If he came forward and publicly requested a trade and leaked that to reporters, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. I mean, sure, there's some fans that would have been like, oh, fuck this guy. But like, I think most fans would have been like, we understand.
I get it, man. Yeah.
We get
Sometimes it's just time to leave. And
right.
It's
but
time to leave.
He kept everything internal. He kept things private. And I'll tell you this, if he went public with this and requested a trade publicly, there is a 0% chance to get the Jets get a first and a second.
No way.
No shot. So the fact that this was all kept under wraps, kept internal, was able to increase the trade package that the Jets got. So, I mean, shout out to Quinnen Williams, a fantastic New York Jet, an amazing player, by all accounts, a great dude.
A rare Mike McCagnon good draft pick.
I know. It's hard to fuck that one up. The 3rd overall pick was a consensus guy at that spot. But hey, man, he lived up to expectations and then some. One of the best defensive tackles in football, an amazing player, a team leader, honestly really came into his own as a locker room leader. I don't know if you remember early in his career, very quiet guy, was not somebody that would really take on that leadership role. It wasn't until much later that he did, but at the time of his departure, was one of the leaders of that locker room, and his voice carried a lot of weight. So it's unfortunate that he's gone. It's really unfortunate the Jets couldn't win anything with him, but we're in agreement here, Mike. This was a deal the Jets couldn't pass up.
Now, Sauce.
Yeah, we'll talk about this one.
Did you, in your wildest dreams, in your wildest mock drafting, planning for the future, think of any scenarios where the Jets would become good and Sauce Gardner would not be a major part of it?
Probably not. No. This was I'm not gonna say Luka levels of shocking trade because I don't know if anything's gonna touch that in our lifetime, but it was one of the most shocking NFL trades out of absolutely nowhere that I've seen in a long time.
I thought the Jets made a trade with the Colts. I really didn't think it was Sauce Gardner. I had like a Luka, no way.
Well, Sauce tweeted out an emoji reaction, or he tweeted out I think it was an emoji reaction, and then Jermaine tweeted out something, and then Sauce tweeted out,
guys, can we knock it off with the gifts too?
I know
that was annoying.
But Sauce tweeted out, oh, by the way, the Seahawks worked out Zach Kuntz today, so that's fun. Little breaking news. But Sauce tweeted out thank you, New York. And my first thought seeing that was, this guy's a fool. He tweets all the time. This will be deleted in 5 minutes. He's just trolling because he knows it's the deadline and everyone's talking.
Oh, how wrong you were. And
then it wasn't deleted, and it stayed up for a couple of minutes. And I'm like, all right, buddy, time to delete it. Come on, let's get to it. It's still up there. Let's get rid of that tweet. I don't like it.
Where's the real tweet? Come on.
And then Ian Rappaport tweets out Sauce Gardner getting traded to the Colts. And yeah, it was stunning. I don't know how I reacted to it. It was more so just, again, because of the nature of what we do, I couldn't have a full fan reaction. My brain immediately went to, well, what do we do now for content strategy, right? That was where my brain went. But as the fan in me was internally screaming. Also, the Saints worked out Marcus May. How about that? Sorry. Another thing I just saw. But yeah, just pure stunner. And I think there's going to be a very interesting conversation that we're about to have about if this was a good move, because I think there's valid arguments to be made for both sides here. And I get why the Jets made this move, and it ties into the long-term ideology that we're going to talk about in a moment. But it is very unfortunate that a guy who, by all accounts, wanted to be here, he just signed a record-setting 4-year
$30 million a year
a couple of months ago, right? So he clearly wanted to be here. He wanted to be part of the solution, and is an all-world player who we have defended from, the harshest of critics. Is maybe
the most ridiculous, nonsensical of critics.
I think he is still an undisputed top 3 corner in the NFL.
That's not going to change when he's with the Colts.
No, it's not. He's playing in with even better players like Charvarius Ward, very good corner. He's got Kenny Moore, been there forever, very good player.
Cam Bynum, that's a hell of a secondary.
But it is, and he's on a great team, and I'm happy for him there. But yeah, it's tough. As a fan, it's a really tough pill to swallow. To see a player like Sauce Gardner that you drafted, you developed into one of the best players in the NFL, a guy you expected to be a franchise cornerstone, traded away. But I'll let you give your spiel first because I know you have more reservations than I do.
Well, because I know this, obviously, I've made a lot of NBA comparisons, but if you look at this how, as a Nets fan, God, what did I do? This was their whole thing. Remember, they had 5 picks, and it looks like they drafted...
For the record, I hate the NBA comparisons because draft picks are so vastly different in the NFL and NBA. They're valued unbelievably different.
I get it, but the philosophy, I think, rings true in both. Of draft picks are always really good until you use them. It always looks really good to stockpile draft picks. Then when you turn them into players, they don't look as impressive.
I think the difference also is the advantage of a rookie contract, which obviously you get that to a lesser degree in the NBA, but it's even more important in the NFL, having young studs on rookie contracts. I think that absolutely.
Here's the problem, though. Obviously, this is the thing. They're obviously never going to draft a guy as good as Sauce as a cornerback.
I would assume not. No.
Yes. He's also the kind of guy where you can't just scotch tape other cornerbacks together, and if they all stand on their head, maybe they can equal Sauce. That's not the way to go about doing it. You've downgraded your cornerback room significantly to a point where you're probably not going to get back to that level. So that's number one. And number 2, if you look, the Jets got 3 assets for Sauce Gardner.
Yep.
They got a first-round pick this year, which right now would be number 32 overall. The Colts are going to be very good.
It's determined on where they place in the playoffs, right? So
it is determined on where they place in the playoffs.
They crash out in the playoffs, which look, Daniel Jones is their quarterback. I'm not sold on that. He just had
it's a mid-20s pick, a good pick certainly, but not one that should be the centerpiece of a Sauce Gardner trade. The 2027 pick, which is a complete unknown. And look, obviously there's a lot riding on Daniel Jones, but the infrastructure in Indy is so good. People forget those Anthony Richardson teams. They were winning 8-9 games with that level of quarterback play. So I think that's probably going to be close to the 20s as well. So that's 2 picks probably in or close to the 20s. And Adonai Mitchell, who has 9 catches this year. His biggest highlight was dropping a 70-yard touchdown because he just doesn't have any touchdowns this year. I think he had some attitude problems at Texas. So I don't want to say a complete unknown, a complete lottery ticket, but not necessarily like we got this great young player we can work with. There's a lot of variables where Mitchell could end up. I don't think he's going to be Mozzie Smith bad, but I just don't see getting 9 catches in that infrastructure and then going to Justin Fields in this infrastructure and having it turn around. So because of that, you're leaning entirely on the picks, which I don't think are going to be as good.
I think AD Mitchell's the second best receiver on this roster right now.
But again, how many times have we done the joke of who would be wide receiver 2 on this roster?
I agree. It's not saying much, but he's going to get opportunities. He's under contract for 2.5 years. Obviously, he's not the centerpiece of the trade, but I definitely wouldn't write him off as a nothing. Mozzie Smith's probably a nothing. AD Mitchell is somebody who I think could be a wide receiver 3 on this roster next year. And I would not bat an eye, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I get that. The other thing, though, too, is I don't like building plans for the future based on either hope, which a lot of the success of this Jets regime is now tied into hope, or...
Well, it was already.
Well, yeah, but even more so now.
They didn't have a quarterback. Like, it's always going to be tied.
Yeah, but even more so now because they have even less. They don't have Sauce or Quinnen Williams. Or hoping that other teams are terrible to improve your odds, because I just don't like that uncertainty right now. The other thing, though, too, is, and I've mentioned this before to people professionally and outside of it, is we always complained, left guy, stop complaining. You make your own show and you don't complain. I'll complain.
Left guy has a name. Mike, stop complaining.
Okay, right. Thank you, right guy.
Hey, right guy has a name too.
So the other thing, though, too, is we mentioned this a lot when Douglas got fired. We always said good process, bad results. And I like Darren Muji. I think he's made a lot of really good moves. There's something in the back of my mind that is just screaming good process, bad results. Every GM would take all the picks. You're always told as a GM, take all the picks and draft and stuff like that. And I'm sure with how well, I think Muji drafted very well his first year. I'm sure they're going to go get some good players with those picks. The problem being, if they don't have a quarterback, it's all going to be for nothing. Because the Jets did this basically in 2022,
right? And
then it was all for nothing because they never had a quarterback. Now, the problem, because of that, is like if the whole we need a quarterback to make sure this whole thing works, I think you could have kept that directive without trading Sauce. Now it's amplified even more. Like I like the Quinnen trade, brilliant return on value. I would have liked them to move some of the other things though. And yeah, I think if you put him in one of those draft point chart machines, it probably comes out well. But to how many times do you see a player of this magnitude move, especially right after an extension? It's just to expect any sort of immediate improvement is going to be, I think, folly. And to expect for this organization, this regime rather, to expect a fan base that's in this is the 4th time they've attempted these various rebuilds during the drought. Like they're gonna run out of patience, and I think for this organization to ask this fan base of that sort of patience,
they're already out of patience though. They were calling for Aaron Glenn's job after 6 games. Like
I know. And again, there's a scenario where it all works out and they draft really well and they get their quarterback, and now they have a ton of cap space so they could spend on receivers and linebackers and pass rushers. Like, I don't think they're gonna go and just bottom out and be 2-15 again next year. But there's just a lot more uncertainty in the picture, and I don't like uncertainty when I'm building a team.
Look, I'll give you the organizational perspective here because I understand the fan perspective of, man, I don't want to wait anymore for this team to be good. And this clearly doesn't help them win right now. And this doesn't help them win probably next year either. And I get the impatience. And I understand as well why fans are upset about trading away a franchise cornerstone to Sauce Gardner. But the organizational perspective is this. The number one way to succeed in the NFL is to draft and develop a young quarterback. That is the single most conducive way to long-term and short-term success in the NFL. And the Jets have not been able to do that really in my entire lifetime.
Ever?
I mean, ever. You could argue they've not really been doing that ever, but I mean, they've had a couple of capable guys throughout the years.
Ken O'Brien and Pennington. That's been it in 40 years.
Yeah, Ken O'Brien was good. He was solid. They had a obviously a couple of years of Vinny Testaverde being great. They had 1 year. Pennington was fine, right? But this is something the Jets have repeatedly failed to do. And it's not just drafting the quarterback, because we've seen them draft, quote unquote, the right quarterback in the past. They drafted Sam Darnold, who right now looks like an MVP candidate. They've drafted the right quarterback in the past. They haven't been able to develop them. The thinking here is that the Jets are reallocating resources that they have been providing to their defense to players like Sauce Gardner, who is an all-world cornerback. I saw people in chat saying Sauce Gardner isn't that good. He is that good. He's an awesome player. But we don't got to disparage Sauce. You could defend this trade.
Oh my God, the WFA. Oh, he's so overrated. I love it. You can like the trade, don't like it because Sauce is overrated.
We can defend the trade without disparaging Sauce Gardner, who's a phenomenal player. And
now he's going back to a zone scheme in Indy. Oh my God,
he's going to be awesome. The thought is that you're reallocating resources away from that towards drafting and developing a rookie quarterback. Sauce Gardner is a phenomenal player, but he is a expensive player as well on a very, very expensive contract. The Jets' thinking is the 2 first-round picks that we have now are going to be used on, I would assume, offensive players, or at least the accumulation of all these picks, the culmination of all of these picks is going to be used to help build around our young quarterback. And that the assets that we acquire in exchange for Sauce Gardner will be more valuable when you take into account both contract and player performance. That's the thinking behind it.
Is that true, though? Because I think a lot of their top picks may be used on defense because they just lost so many big pieces.
Well, that's why they have 5 first-round picks for the next 2 years. I don't expect all 5 of those picks to be offense, but I'd expect at least 3 of them to be offense. I'm not going to say which picks are going to be used on which because that's irrelevant. The organization's not thinking that. They're not thinking we have to use the pick we got on Sauce Gardner to draft an offensive player. That's right. Not thinking. But the culmination of all the picks that they have, that's the resources they're looking at. They're looking at 5 first-round picks. They're looking at 2 second-round picks as well this year, in a year that they did not have a 3rd-round pick. They're thinking all of these draft picks, we are going to build around this rookie quarterback. That's the goal. That's why you get the picks for trading away Quinnen. That's why you get the picks for trading away Sauce Gardner. Now, you could argue that the value they'll get for those picks that they traded away for Sauce Gardner is not going to be equivalent. And you can make that case. And that's ultimately just comes down to if the Jets hit on those picks. I don't think process is bad. I don't know if results will be bad or will be good because I don't know if they will hit on those picks. But say, Mike, they draft Fernando Mendoza 2nd overall, right? Or 1st overall, because they're not going to be good. They're probably winning 3 games this year, right? Maybe they get the 1st overall pick. Maybe they land the top quarterback they want. Or maybe they use the assets that they have now to trade up and draft the quarterback if they have a strong conviction. Or maybe they get Dante Moore. Whoever it is, they think that the assets they have and the money that they're going to have to spend, they will be able to create an environment that is conducive for success for a young quarterback, whether that quarterback is Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, whether it's someone that they draft next year. I'm assuming they still draft one this year, but all options are on the table here. They have Garrett Wilson. He was never going anywhere. That's part of the plan. If they trade,
wasn't Sauce part of the plan up until a week ago?
Because the plan that I'm talking about is building around your rookie quarterback. Now, having a good defense obviously helps that, but how many times have the Jets had a good defense and absolutely nothing around their young quarterback to develop them? That hasn't worked for them. So they're using those assets. Listen, they're using those assets to build around that quarterback. Garrett Wilson was never going to be someone they're considering trading. Now, I wouldn't have been expecting them to consider Sauce Gardner as a trade candidate as well. But considering the plan here is, okay, let's reallocate these resources that we're putting into Sauce Gardner, that we're putting into Quinnen Williams, to building around our young quarterback. It would make 0 sense to trade away Garrett Wilson. So he was never part of the consideration. You're going to go into next year with Garrett Wilson, possibly Breece Hall. They're going to have to smooth things over there because clearly Breece is not happy, and I don't know if he wants a contract next year. That's a TBD situation, right? But they're going to have.
Imagine if they just let him go now. That
would be unfortunate. Letting him walk now for nothing after turning down a 4th-round pick would suck. I agree with that 100%. But trading away Garrett, you're going to have Garrett Wilson. You're going to have an offensive line that has 2 tackles as building blocks. You have Joe Tippmann as a building block. And I think you figure out the rest of the line. I mean, you could bring back Myers. You could bring back John Simpson. I don't think AVT comes back. But you have a good offensive line. You have an offensive coordinator who both you and I are high on. And we just saw him put up 39 points with Justin Fields as his quarterback and Tyler Johnson as wide receiver 1. Granted, against the defense, that is, an embarrassment, a disgrace.
I'm feeling worse about that now after watching the Bears play him.
Disgrace of a defense. But I think Engstrom has shown flashes, and I would like to give him a chance with a young quarterback that has a good environment around him. Really all you need, and you also have Mason Taylor, I think is going to be a very good tight end in this league. Really all you need is a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3. Well, I think Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell, whatever, I think he could be at wide receiver 3. Maybe you get something out of John Mechie. Maybe you bring back a Josh Reynolds, maybe whatever. You need a wide receiver 2. That comes in the draft or it comes in free agency. They're going to have money to spend. They're going to have assets to use in the draft. I think the environment for whatever quarterback they bring in is going to be the best environment that the Jets have had a young quarterback in since Pennington, probably. Right?
I mean, where I disagree with that is wouldn't that have been the case even without the Sauce trades? Like just look at the last two. Look at the last 2 quarterbacks they've taken, because we don't want to relitigate decades of Jets futility. Look at Darnold and Wilson, and look Darnold, which people like to make fun of the Jets. I guess people forget that Carolina happened too. Maybe give him some credit. Maybe he got better on his own, and it's not just the Jets.
He went through the crash course of Kyle Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell offenses.
Like maybe that helped. But anyway, so Darnold, guy who can play in this league, and they had literally nothing and just put him into a meat grinder and killed him, and then end up getting rid of him, which made sense at the time. New regime, they would have been mocked to high heaven if they kept him.
Yes.
Then they get Zach Wilson, who early on, obviously not the best offensive situation for him. Then I think they get better later on, and then he's just not an NFL talent, can't play, ruins everything.
Yeah.
I think the situation there, without the Sauce trade, I think even with the offensive line looking like it might take a hit in free agency because Simpson and Myers, I think they bring back at least one of them. I think the offensive line is very good for what it is. They got a tight end. They got a wide receiver 1. If they lock up Brees, they got a running back. Like, without Sauce and Quinn, like, this is still a pretty good offensive situation.
It is.
And I get the idea of, all right, let's tear everything down to the studs and make it the best offensive situation. I don't hate that philosophy, but to do that with players like that, you still have to, it could be a good offensive situation. You still have to build an environment conducive to winning. And I know that we've talked about how there's a lot of mope that's infected these guys because they've been losing for so long, but and not to use the over joke, oh, the mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat. But now they need a defensive tackle. They may need another cornerback. Probably not starting if Azareye'h Thomas. Azareye'h Thomas, you better be good after this trade, man.
I know. Brandon Stevens, you too.
You two better be good. But now they need to address those positions. So isn't that just more shuffling around what areas they need now?
Well, we're both in agreement that the Quinnen trade should have happened.
Yeah,
right?
Quinnen, I don't.
So they were going to need
Sauce, even as a caliber of player, is above Quinnen.
Yes, but
so that one just and again, if they traded him if Sauce went to Dallas, and they got 2 first-round picks where Dallas is projected, that's a little different. And not to say I'm drinking the Daniel Jones and Indianapolis Kool-Aid, but that pick, barring a calamitous playoff thing, which I don't know if that'll happen, that's going to be in the mid-20s. Next year, they'll probably be pretty good again. Those picks are just less valuable. If they sent them to a middling team looking for that one trade that might get them over the edge in their mind, I think the picks might be a little better, and I might dislike this trade a little bit less.
I mean, I'm not confident Dallas is going to have a better record or a worse record than Indianapolis next year.
Isn't that the whole criticism with Micah Parsons? Oh, Green Bay, those picks are going to be in the 20s. Isn't that the same criticism?
I think the Packers, I feel a lot more strongly confident that they are going to be a very good team in 2026 than the Colts. Shane Steichen is awesome, and that Colts team is so unbelievably overachieved this year. I don't have a lot of faith in them being this good next year. Maybe they will be. I have no idea. I don't know. No one expected them to be good this year, but I also wouldn't be. I don't think that's a significant factor to me. I think you're getting the other part of the equation is this, right? And again, I want to preface this by saying Sauce Gardner is an irreplaceable player, right? He is an irreplaceable football player who is, I'm about to talk highly of Brandon Stevens and A.Z. Thomas. I want to make it clear from the start that they're not as good as Sauce Gardner, and they
not even close.
Be in their careers. In almost all realities, they will never be as good as Sauce Gardner. But
Justin, imagine if at the beginning of the year we would say the phrase, or some people might try to say, "Don't worry about not having Sauce Gardner. We have Brandon Stevens."
Yeah, you're Brandon Stevens.
Imagine what you would do to that person.
Well, it's hilarious.
Darren Mucci just said that.
When the Jets drafted A.Z. Thomas, literally we know that sealed Sauce Gardner's fate, not Brandon Stevens. But the Jets have a cornerback room that they really like right now. They clearly like Jarvis Brownlee. They like him enough that after a couple of games, they were willing to trade away Michael Carter. Right? They really like Jarvis Brownlee. A.Z. Thomas has looked very good when he's been given the opportunity in limited sample size. Obviously it's a limited sample size, but they like him a lot. And they like Brandon Stevens. if those guys who are they think they are, if those guys who are they think they are, right? Yeah,
that is a lot of
that's a sentence.
A lot of prepositions there.
Then they're fine at corner. Like, then they're going to be fine. Obviously, it's a downgrade. Obviously, they're not nearly as good as Sauce Gardner, and Sauce Gardner is a phenomenal player. Again, he cannot be replaced. But I would not call cornerback a position of need at this time, right now, if those players are who they think they are, right?
That's another if you got to throw in. If a lot, so many variables.
The NFL is built on ifs, Mike. The entire state of the Jets franchise was already built on the gigantic if of can we find a quarterback? Hell,
but now there's another one.
But that's always been the if, and that is the most important if. Nothing matters unless you find a quarterback. And none of it matters unless you draft a quarterback and you develop a quarterback. So I have no issue with the Jets pouring all of their resources into doing that one thing. Now, obviously, you have to build a roster around them, like on defense, but specifically, like they're clearly prioritizing. Let's draft the right guy, but not only that, because as we've talked about in the show, quarterback development is not linear. You could draft the right guy and he still might suck here because you don't have the right environment around him, because your coaching staff stinks or the playmakers around him stink or the offensive line is terrible. I mean, Cam Ward might be good. I have no idea because the entire team around him sucks. The offense stinks. The coaching staff stinks. Cam Ward is not playing well, but I have no idea if he can do well. You don't want to go into that situation again with the Jets. It was the same thing with Sam Darnold. And now I agree. They would have had not a terrible situation for a young quarterback, regardless of whether they made the Sauce Gardner trade. But I don't have an issue with them taking those assets and pouring them more into the offense and pouring them more into young players on affordable rookie contracts, as opposed to one player, an admittedly amazing player, but one player that doesn't impact winning in the same way that finding and drafting and developing a young quarterback would.
Couldn't you say that for trading pretty much anybody, though? Like, if it's in service of the quarterback.
Not Garrett, because Garrett Wilson, it directly impacts developing that young quarterback. Sauce Gardner does not.
Let's get to some comments, because we got a pretty deep backlog here. I want to get to a couple. Let's start with Zachary Berner, who's been very active. Sauce one was too much value to pass up, and the Quinnen one was kind of expected within the coming days.
I wouldn't say the Sauce was too I would say the Quinnen one was too much value to pass up. In no world can you reject that Quinnen offer. In a world, you can absolutely reject that Sauce Gardner. I think the Sauce Gardner trade offer was a fair one, and probably what his value is. Like, it's hard to ask for more than that, but I wouldn't say it goes into the territory of like impossible to turn down. I think that 2 first-round picks plus the flyer and A.D. Mitchell is reasonable for what you'd expect for Sauce Gardner, and a lot. Like, that's a lot. And I also think that you know what? I don't know if we want to get into this conversation now, but I think there is an argument to be made, and again, this is not me trying to disparage Sauce. I think there's an argument to be made about how in today's NFL, how valuable can a cornerback who doesn't create turnovers be? How valuable can that player be? Obviously, I think Sauce Gardner is the best pure cover corner in the NFL, but how valuable is that? Like, I'm not saying that he's like, Derek Stingley's more valuable, right? But I'm saying, like,
as we've seen from the last couple of weeks, clearly.
I'm saying I think there might be a ceiling on how much a player like that impacts winning. Now, he's a phenomenal player, and he makes your defense significantly better when he's out there. But I don't know. I think that's a conversation that can be had, and maybe even with football minds that are greater than us, Mike. I think that's a conversation that's probably being had in the Jets front office right now.
Zachary Berner, what if A.D. Mitchell becomes good? There's a reality where he becomes good. I
like A.D. Mitchell. First of all, I'm
just very discouraged by what I saw in Indianapolis.
I'm not. I thought he played well in Indianapolis, and I thought he showed flashes. Look, I brought him up on the Wednesday show, and I said, here's a guy the Jets could consider. This was the first guy that I mentioned, and it made a ton of sense because you want to take a flyer on a young wide receiver who is in his second year in the NFL. You got 2.5 years of team control on a guy who the Colts just used a second-round pick on last year. And they're not trading him because he's unplayable. Like, I don't think he's a bad player by any means. I think there's some attitude stuff there, like you said, going back to Texas, and I think the staff doesn't like him. And then he got put in the doghouse when he Malachi correlated himself by dropping the ball short of the goal line. That's what happened.
That's still the lasting image of his NFL tenure so far.
Right, but he's now going to a situation where he's going to have every opportunity in the world to claim a spot in this Jets wide receiver room. Now, I don't expect his production to skyrocket because they still don't have much of a passing game. Justin Fields, I do not expect to play like he has 2 games this year for most of the year. Like, I think he will regress and possibly regress to the lowest of lows that we've
seen. Hopefully not Denver again.
It's possible, man. I don't know. But I don't have high expectations for this Jets passing offense, even with John Mechie there now and A.D. Mitchell there now. But he's going to have every opportunity to potentially establish himself as a core piece of this receiver room moving forward. And I said this on the show on Wednesday. I think he's a better Arian Smith. I think he's better at tracking the ball.
Bigger than Arian Smith.
He's bigger than Arian Smith. He's much better in contested catch situations. I had the numbers on the show last week. I could pull them up again. But I think he's just a significantly better version of what Arian Smith is. And I'm pretty sure, much like Arian Smith, because fans that are still holding out hope that he could be something, right? And I'm not out on Smith, but
Justin, do you want me to show you the chart again?
That's what I'm going to say. That same chart, A.D. Mitchell ranks pretty high in that chart as well. He's also
but not higher than Arian Smith, Justin.
Fuck Arian Smith. Look, man, the one thing about Arian Smith coming out of college was he can't catch the ball. I have no idea if he can catch because he's not even throwing the ball, right? So I don't know. And when he was, he had an opportunity at a contested catch in the end zone, and he tried to body catch a contested catch jump ball because that's what he did at Georgia. That's what he always did. That was not a problem with A.D. Mitchell at Texas. So I think there's a chance he can absolutely be a piece for this offense, and I would not be shocked if he almost immediately snatches Arian Smith's chain.
What do you think's more likely, though? Adonai Mitchell becomes wide receiver 3 behind Garrett, and I don't know if they maybe draft a guy or
whoever
they sign like a Jawan Jennings or an Alec Pierce kind of thing.
Pierce
What's more likely? That happens, or he just becomes wide receiver 5 and gets buried because he stinks?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I would put it like a 50-50 chance. I don't know, man. Like I think both are realistic, feasible situations that could happen. I believe in him as a player. You know me, Mike. My type when it comes to wide receivers is guys who can separate. A.D. Mitchell.
That's why you love Arian Smith so much.
Well, he can't do anything else. He can't do anything else, right? I was the biggest Deontay Johnson fan for the longest time until he wrecked his career. But like Deontay Johnson had drop issues, man. Like it was a frustrating player, but the dude can get open, right? Adonai Mitchell gets open, and he's not bad. I'm going to pull up these numbers because I'm pretty sure like he's not bad in those contested catch situations. And the thing I knocked Arian Smith for, because I hate when people call receivers deep ball, deep threats when the only thing they can do is run fast. You're not a deep threat if the only thing you can do is run fast. You are a track guy, right? If you want to be
Johnny Lamb Jones showed the Jets.
Yes, Johnny Lamb Jones. Yeah, shout out to the old Jets fans. Like you're not a deep threat if you can do that. You need to be able to track the ball and you need to be able to high point the ball. Adonai Mitchell caught 47% of his contested catch opportunities at Texas. That's a pretty damn good rate. Remember my biggest draft hater or hate guy that the draft prospect that I hated was Keon Coleman, who was, last year's draft was billed as this contested catch guy. He had like a 30% contested catch rate in college. And guess how he's doing in the NFL right now? Exact same issues.
Better than Adonai Mitchell.
Barely. Not really, dude. Buffalo fans.
Does he have a touchdown? Okay, then.
Bills fans want to run him out of town. Like, I don't know, man.
I think that's also because of the role he's playing in the team he's in, too. So
I think
Colts fans wanted to run Mitchell out of town, and they did because he's on the Jets now.
I also think, like, you mentioned Alec Pierce as a target. I feel like Pierce is a very redundant player to Mitchell. I feel like they kind of had a better version of Adonai Mitchell in Alec Pierce already. So that's also like why.
That's if they traded for Pierce and then just gave him an extension when the trade went through, I would have liked that a little bit better.
I don't see why Indy would have done that though. Like that's the problem. Like
they're trying. I don't know.
They're trying to win this year though.
That's why they got Sauce Gardner. They traded two first.
They're also not going to trade a guy who they're like. It would not make sense for them to trade Pierce. I know it'd be I know it's Sauce Gardner, but they're trying to win. Like I don't see why they would consider trading him. Whereas Mitchell, he had no role there.
Jonathan Gaucher, good for Sauce escaping this toxic team. As that kid said, I hate this team.
The other thing about Mitchell, by the way, his final 2 years of college, one drop.
Not bad.
He catches the ball. Arian Smith does not catch the ball, either in college or in the NFL level for different reasons.
Brandon R., we just had 3 firsts and we are rebuilding again. Talking of the 2022 draft where they basically did this and then here we are.
Once again, I know, Brandon, you're a fan. And we're all fans, right? Darren Muji does not give a shit what happened in the 2022 draft. He does not care that the Jets just had 3 first-round picks in 2022. And by the way, they hit on all 3. He does not care about that. The reason
they might get rid of half of that class.
Well, the reason they're rebuilding again, Mike, is because they didn't have a quarterback. Because they swung and missed on 2 consecutive quarterbacks with that regime. It's actually truly miraculous that Joe Douglas hit on the 2022 draft as amazingly as he did. And it's not just those top 4 picks, by the way. Every player in that draft class, as of this morning, was still on the Jets roster. That's really good for a draft. Like if all those guys are entering the final year of their rookie deals, all of them were still on the Jets roster. Now, I guess outside of Sauce Gardner, but all of those guys were still on the Jets roster.
Who would have thought Michael Clemens would have outlasted Sauce Gardner in New York?
Max Mitchell outlasted Sauce Gardner. Like, that was a hell of a draft class. But it's amazing how he hit on that draft as much as he did, but they still suck. And it's because you didn't have a quarterback. That's the entire reason they're doing it.
You could have got the quarterback, and I think they're going to be bad anyway.
This makes it easier to draft and develop the quarterback, and that should be the number one goal. I'm not saying, Mike, if the report came out that the Jets were offered 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell for Sauce Gardner and they declined it, I'm not saying I would have been like, oh my God, you have to take that. I don't think this was a situation where this was like too good of a deal to pass up.
People keep comparing to the Herschel Walker trade, not even close.
But it's a deal that I fully understand why they took, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate side of it because you're against it. Like, I'm going to argue, here's why they made it. But if you were like super in favor of this, by the way, I would be like, well, I understand why you wouldn't. Like, I do get both sides, and I'm not trying to take like a neutral stance here. But
Quinnen one though was a little more cut.
Yeah, the Quinnen one. If it came out that they were offered that and they declined it, I would have been upset. Like
that would have been. I'm like, he's not going to be back. You do that.
That crosses into you have to take this territory.
Brian Sternbeck. I don't know if there was a more value added in season than 2 firsts and a wide receiver than what the Jets did today. Jalen Ramsey to the Rams is the last in-season trade I remember where they traded 2 firsts.
As in-season,
worked out great for the Rams. The Jaguars, on the other hand, actually that got ETN and Devin Lloyd, so not awful, but
yeah. But again,
you probably want Jalen Ramsey.
You can't look at other teams and be like, oh, they whiffed. Because you brought this up, Mike, when we were talking in the chat. You were like, yeah, the Raiders traded with Khalil Mack and drafted Josh Jacobs and Damon.
I can't get the Khalil Mack out of my head.
Who gives a shit if the Raiders drafted Damon Arnett? Why does that impact the Jets? It doesn't.
I know, but I guess I was mostly trying to collect a Rolodex of big player moves for Hall of Draft picks and kind of who won which trade. And I want to see if history's on the Jets side or not, at least.
The Jets traded Jamal Adams and got Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and AVT. Well, Sauce was their own pick, but they got Garrett Wilson and AVT. That worked out. Like, I know they didn't win, but again, this because they have a quarterback. Like that's irrespective to the trade. That is not relevant to the trade. The Jets traded Jamal Adams, and that trade was absolutely a win for them. I Sauce Gardner, and again, I said this on Twitter. Sauce Gardner is a more valuable player.
Sauce is better, I think, too, than Adams was.
He's a better player. He's also plays a more valuable position. He's a 100% more valuable player. I'm not saying Sauce Gardner and Jamal Adams are equivalent.
Like Kyle, Sauce isn't that good. LOL. Come on,
that's ridiculous. But that's why the Jamal Adams trade and Sauce Gardner trade a very different discourse. The Jamal Adams trade at the time was, oh my God, yeah, you got 2 firsts for a box safety who wanted out. Yes, you take that 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000.
Who said he wanted out too?
Right. That's why the discourse around Sauce is different. I'm not saying, oh, you have to take this trade, but I'm saying it makes sense, and there's a world where it absolutely works out.
Zachary Berner didn't he? Because I remember saying Mitchell had some like personality concerns at Texas and early on. Didn't Brownlee have issues too? But look at him now. Yeah, we heard that.
Yep, that was absolutely a thing in Tennessee.
Yep. Then we'll go to Jeff. Open up salary cap space in the next few years.
Yes, it does. It does. For sure.
Zachary Berner. What if AZ Thomas gets 4 picks, but Sauce gets none and still covers? I think both teams are happy then.
Yeah, like
Sauce isn't going to forget how to cover with the Colts.
Yeah, no, Sauce is going to be great in Indy. If Isaiah Thomas develops into a long-term starting cornerback and Brandon Stevens is the player that the Jets signed him to be and that he has been the last few weeks, then they're fine at corner. They're totally fine, and it's not a need. Like it's legitimately a position that they probably don't have to address in any significant way this offseason. Like I think they have, if Thomas is a long-term starter, like if he can prove over the final stretch of the season, which we talked about this, Mike, saying that, man, he looks like a good player, but I have no idea how he's going to play. Now, obviously, that's not a reason you trade Sauce Gardner, but having that in your back pocket makes you go, okay, well, if we trade Sauce, we have 3 guys, if you include Brownlee, who we really like, who we feel comfortable starting, and we think they can be a good cornerback trio. And I do believe they can be. Again, they're not Sauce Gardner. I'm not saying they replace Sauce Gardner, but you have a capable group there that I'm not concerned about. I'm much more concerned about the defensive tackle room right now. But again, you make that Quinnen trade every time. I just, they don't have a 3-tech. Jay Tufele is their 3-tech, right? They have 2 good 1-techs in Harrison Phillips.
And they'll be on this team next year too.
On the team next year. They are very good run stoppers. You don't have any pass rush on the interior. which sucks.
Are they going to get a sack for like the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, they already had no pass rush with Quinnen. Now, Quinnen also was not having a good pass rush season. Like, it was his worst pass rush year that he's had, maybe in his career, honestly. And again, I think part of that was his situation that he was in, but
checked out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that. Like, it's just, again, not a lot of
to be checked out and be an elite run defender. I envy Quinn Williams.
Not a lot of talent around him. I mean, he's playing a lot of snaps next to Harrison Phillips and J2 Fele, and now it's going to be Peyton Page probably getting called up to the active roster. So yeah, the D tackle room is bad. They're going to have to address that in the offseason. But look, thank God they made those Phillips and Briggs trades, because if they didn't, dude, where would this Jets team be at defensive tackle right now if they didn't trade for Briggs and Phillips?
Oh my God,
we'd
be begging for Leonard Taylor.
Leonard Taylor would be the starting free tech.
Oh God, can they get him back? Is he still on the Patriots practice squad?
I think so. Right?
Is he not? Can they get him back?
Yeah, you could probably sign him to the active roster if he's on their practice squad. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, he's on their practice squad. Why not? Yeah,
fun. Bring back.
And you get the Hey, actually, you bring your Patriots defensive playbook quick. Yeah,
that's true. Honestly, like, they absolutely should do that. Leonard Taylor would be a better interior pass rusher than anybody they have currently on the roster. They absolutely should do that.
Jet Cruise 1. Worst case scenario, we suck next year. Oh no. Well, I don't want to suck next year. Have you considered that?
Like, I don't think. Like, the Jets could win 6-7 games next year. No, fuck. I don't.
What?
That's a 6-7 joke.
What were these reports, by the way, about? Well, they could be targeting a quarterback in 2027 if they don't take a quarterback this year.
I think that was just speculation. I would be very surprised unless the
Jets. Is it because Arch isn't declaring and they want them to get Arch for some reason? I don't know.
The Jets go on a crazy run and end up winning like 6 games this year, and they're picking like 10th or whatever, or 9th. Like. And even then, they still probably draft the quarterback, right? But like,
more Simpson will be there.
I would be very surprised if the Jets did not draft the quarterback this year, and that's fine. Like, I like the quarterbacks in this class. It's going to depend. Depends who declares. It's going to depend if Dante Moore declares.
I still think he does. I still think Sellers does.
Ty Simpson doesn't have to declare. I don't know if Sellers declares, man. I really don't. I think he might just stay in South Carolina or transfer.
I think he might transfer to like a USC quarterback factory kind of thing, but
because he is just he probably.
I will say, having watched that offensive line, not to be like, oh, it's the O line and the play calling guy, but literally this is a very clear example of it's the O line and the play calling guy.
It's bad, and then there's also late risers, like maybe a Jaden Mayava can climb into the back half of the first. Maybe he could be like a Jordan Love where he climbs into the back half of the first round. Like, I can see that happening, or whoever, right? I don't think Mateer is probably going back at this point. Like,
once he hurt his hand, I think that was. I still don't know where Nussmeier is either.
Nussmeier, he can go back too, right?
No, I don't think he can.
Or is he out of eligibility?
I think he's out, but
that's a tough situation.
I don't know where he's at. Poor Aller, dude.
Aller's stock is killed. Klubnik's stock is destroyed.
Oh my God,
Nussmeier's stock is destroyed.
Not destroyed, but like,
I mean, weren't they considering benching him?
I think he starts getting into like.
Weren't they considering benching him?
Nussmeier?
Yeah.
No.
I thought I saw they were considering benching him.
Well, no, it's because they fired Brian Kelly, so the year's over. That's why.
Right.
Which, by the way, non-Jets topic. I knew he was a piece of crap, but I mean, stories coming out about him are wild.
I knew he was a piece of shit already. I didn't see him.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, he sucks.
Brandon R. Jets looking to the New England playbook of rebuild free agency and find a quarterback.
Yeah, and it's working out well for them.
I guess the thing, New England didn't have that Sauce guy they got rid of though for a haul.
No, but certainly worked out for them. Spending in free agency, building around Drake May, and they drafted the right quarterback and they developed the right quarterback.
J Mark, I understand the Q trade, love him, but it was necessary. Totally agree.
Absolutely. The Quinnen one, I would be hard pressed to find many people saying that was bad. Like that.
But he says the Sauce trade for me doesn't make sense.
It makes sense, but I understand why people wouldn't be happy about it. I do think it makes sense, but again, I get both perspectives.
It makes sense, I guess, just not enough sense, or doesn't make more sense than keeping him, if that makes any sense. Not to say sense 5 times in one sentence, but
does that make sense, Mike?
I think it does make sense.
We'll see if they hit on the picks.
Zachary Berner, highest paid cornerback needs picks.
Yes and no. I think there's a conversation to be had about how much value a player like that can actually provide.
There's really never been a guy this extreme with being this good at covering and this not good at getting picks.
Especially, I also think in the modern NFL, it's different in the modern NFL. I feel like And I don't
There's
know.
less interceptions now anyway, so there's less turnovers created.
This is a whole extended conversation, right? Where it just goes back to like football principles almost. But like, given the rules in the NFL right now, how unbelievably hard it is to play corner and how volatile the position is as a result, because it is so rare, Mike, as we've talked about, to see year over year dominance and success at the cornerback position in the way that Sauce is able to do, in the way that Pat Surtain is able to do. And even both of them have had down years, right? It's so rare to see. We've seen guys like, Jalen Johnson, still a really good player, but hasn't touched what he did a couple of years ago, right? Still a great
DJ Turner's apparently elite now, so.
Yeah, apparently so. Like, guys rise and fall out of nowhere. It is
Josh Norman, remember him?
Yes, of course. It is nice to have the fallback of, well, this guy can create turnovers. Or this guy's, in Pat Surtain's case, he can create turnovers, but he's also like maybe the best run defending corner in the NFL, or one of the best, right?
Even washed Revis at the end would pick some balls off.
Like, as much as I have praised Sauce Gardner, I think the NFL would value Pat Surtain more than Sauce Gardner because of the turnovers and because of the tackling. And Sauce actually has been a very good tackler this year. That's been a much improved part of his game. I think he's actually. I was going to tweet this out. I forgot.
That's how I know people aren't watching, because they still say bad tackling. I'm like, he's tackling fine.
At least as going into this past week, I think Sauce Gardner might have been the highest graded tackler out of all corners in the NFL. I'm not even joking. Like, he was like one of the tops. He's
got the wingspan and the size. He was just very skinny. So
yeah, but the effort was a lot better this year with the tackling. He was kind of putting his body on the line, which was hurting.
Got him hurt, but
really got him hurt. But yeah, I think there's a conversation to be had about that, and I'm not sure where the NFL stands on it. But I do think in today's NFL, you really want the guys that create turnovers. Or I wouldn't even say that. I would say that just the shutdown corners are less valuable because it's just hard to be an every down shutdown corner. Like, again, Sauce Gardner would get beat 2 or 3 times a game, and it'd be a public, it'd be a public, people would be slaughtering him, right?
Even if he doesn't get beat, even if it was incomplete, but it looked like he held on the play.
I just think it's so like, and people will compare the Revis thing to Sauce. Like, Revis also played in a very different NFL. Revis was allowed to do more than Sauce Gardner does. A lot of the penalties that Sauce has, Revis would get away with that.
Or you know what? Revis is better. Okay. Sauce is still really good. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say like Sauce is better than Revis. You put one early here, but I'm not saying
he's
that.
He's not the real Revis, guys. Get rid of him. Like, imagine if we thought that way.
Well, that's not the thinking, obviously.
Well, some fans think that.
Revis was traded for multiple first-round picks.
Yes. For the Bucks.
Isn't that kind of crazy that both Sauce and Revis were now traded for multiple first-round picks?
And you know what? The Jets got Sheldon Richardson, who was a pretty good player with the Revis.
He was. If he had his head screwed on straight, he would have been pretty
good. When Todd Bowles wasn't having him drop into coverage as an outside linebacker. But yeah.
Yes, memories.
The one good Idzik, him and Anunwa, one good Idzik picks. Mm-hmm. J Mark 19. We will be competing in 2027, hopefully. That means you're saying to this roster, we give up on you.
I think the Jets have what it takes to be a competitive team next year. I'm not saying they're to win 11 games, but if you draft a quarterback and that quarterback looks good to start because you have a good environment around them, there's no reason Jets can't win 7 games next year. They're going to have plenty of money to spend, and they will spend. You're not going to see another offseason, I assume, where Brandon Stevens is the only guy that they signed to a 3-year deal, and the only 2 guys who signed a multi-year deals are him and Fields. Like, they're going to be spending money, just like the Patriots just did. They're not going to be going in the next year thinking, well, we traded away Sauce and Quinnen, we could win 2 games this year. That's not the thought process, nor it should not be, at least.
We got a couple really good ones here. J Mark, are we doing the Bengals approach? I know we need a wide receiver and weapons for him, but man, this D looks horrendous without Q and Sauce.
Yeah, you got to find new guys to build around the defense.
Would you rather be the Zach Wilson Jets or the current Bengals? I think is the Joe Burrow Bengals. I think is the question you're asking.
I'd rather be the Joe Burrow Bengals.
I guess you would,
a million times out of a million, because you have the quarterback. It is so much,
and it's fun. It's more fun to watch that than Zach Wilson.
So much easier in this league to find defensive talent than it is to find a quarterback. Like, I'm not saying it's an easy fix that they're just going to be able to snap.
I'm not saying the Bengals are in a great situation right now either.
You can't just snap your fingers and fix the defense, but it is a lot easier to find 2 good linebackers and a good 3-tech pass rusher than it is finding a quarterback, right? Like, the Jets have defensive holes that they can address, but they're not insurmountable. Like, the number one goal is drafting and developing a quarterback.
Rational side about waiting till 2027 for a quarterback, says Brian Sternbeck. They can't completely sit it out. One of the first 5 picks should be a quarterback. Irrational side. this regime is fighting for its life. We're not wasting a good situation for a job opening on a regime with a 9-25 record.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they didn't draft the quarterback early next year. I mean, you could somehow try and argue, like, again, maybe if they're picking 9th and they really don't like their guys, and like maybe they're picking 9th, Mike, and like Jordan Tyson is staring him in the face. Like somehow he falls to 9 and he's sitting right there. I mean, man. Yeah, you could probably.
I guess at that point they may have already got a quarterback at that point.
Fields, and then maybe you draft somebody in like round 3 or whatever, right? Like, obviously, I'm not saying that's the best approach. I'm just saying there's a world where maybe that happens. And I agree with Brian. You don't sit out on quarterback altogether in 20. You have to draft a quarterback.
Somebody's coming in,
right? Whether it's going to be a first round guy or whether you're using I guess you don't have a 3rd round pick, but like a 4th round pick, right? I think there's a world where that happens. I would be very surprised still if they don't draft one early.
The aptly named Epic Idiot 5585. Jasir Taylor will be better than Sauce.
What are you talking about, dude? That's a good take.
And
have you
Zachary Burner? I hope Mitchell can be our Brownlee kind of move. Possibly, but Brownlee was a pretty decent starter that the Titans for some reason gave up on. I don't know why. Like I think Mitchell, like before they got traded, Jarvis Brownlee had a better NFL career than Adonai Mitchell. Mitchell is much more of an unknown, I think.
I think Mitchell's more like a Juwan Briggs, where it's like this guy didn't get a ton of playing time, flashed when given an opportunity, but clearly, did not have a current role with his current team for different reasons. Briggs
was picked so much later. Mitchell was more a disappointment than.
Yeah, I'm just saying from the Jets' perspective what they're getting. Like, I'm not saying what they were for their teams. Obviously, Briggs was a 7th round pick who had flashed, but he was stuck behind a really deep defensive line. Mitchell was a guy they had high hopes for, who fell out of favor with the coaching staff because of attitude stuff, because he could not hold on to the ball as he crossed into a goal line, like that, stuff like that. Like, very different situations with their former teams. But for the Jets, from their perspective, I think they're looking at it a similar way. As this guy did not have a role with his previous team. We're getting them for very cheap. And we think they can carve out a role here either as a rotational piece or maybe even as a starter.
Then we're going to go to clicked out of it for a second. Zachary Burner with a nice tidbit. Muji said he did the Sauce contract, so it was tradable.
I saw that. Which good. I like that foresight.
J Mark again with a 2.
Oh, really? It's interesting to admit that. Like, it's interesting to say, yeah, when we signed this deal, we did so thinking we could trade it.
Like maybe his agent insisted on, like, look, we'll give you a year to prove yourself to us, and then if things are really going south, that way you can get out of it.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I could see that being.
I'm just saying it's interesting that he admitted that at the press conference, like that he admitted that at the podium.
Or he could be lying and he's saying that to make himself look better. He could be doing that too.
I don't think he's. That sounds like something where it's like, hey, kind of pat himself on the back, like, look at this move we made. We saw it.
And then if Zaria and Stevens aren't that.
Yeah.
J Mark, wasn't the trade for Q good enough to build around the quarterback? We don't need 5 first-rounders to build around the quarterback.
You don't need it, but you now have it. You don't need it, but it helps. It certainly helps. The more picks you have, the better it is. Like, again, that's why I'm not saying, like, I think it was fair value for Sauce. And given where the Jets currently are, I think you can absolutely make a case that it is more valuable to have 2 young players, young first-round premium assets on rookie contracts, as opposed to a really good all-pro corner on an expensive contract. I think you can make that case, and I don't think that's crazy.
Cassandra Future, Ewing theory for Sauce. Now, for those that don't know, Ewing theory is an old...
I don't know the Ewing theory.
Basically, I think it might have been a Bill Simmons creation. It's when the Knicks had that finals run with Leighton Patrick Ewing's career when he got hurt. Ewing theory basically means this guy's a great player, but your team plays better and wins more when he's not playing.
Oh.
So that's Ewing theory. Is basically this guy is one of your best players, but somehow he's not a Ewing theory guy. But
that feels
like Garrett Wilson, if the Jets were losing all these games with Garrett Wilson and then he sat out and the offense was good, that would make him a Ewing theory guy.
I feel like that's a lot more applicable in the NBA than
it is. That's why it's named after Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, like I know that as the Paolo.
It's not the Kyler Murray theory.
I know that as the Paolo Banchero theory. That's what
the Banchero. And then Cassandra again. If the Sauce trade had been with a buyer garbage team, such as the Jaguars, where they could be worse than the Colts, I would grade it as outstanding.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the picks are going to be more valuable than that. It's better, for sure. I'm not saying this is like an A+ trade for the Jets. I'm saying it's a reasonable trade.
I feel like people are trying to make it an A+ or an F.
Yes.
Quinnen was an A+.
Quinnen is as good of a trade as you're probably going to be able to get for him.
And then Sauce, I don't know, maybe I'd give it maybe like a C or like a C+.
I'd give it like a B-, a B.
Yeah,
it's hard to – it's so hard.
The mental block of trading someone that good is very tough to get over.
I just think the Jets are in a unique situation where it does make sense. Like,
I gotta put this guy on blast. I'm sorry, Justin. I gotta.
No.
Joey Renato, Sauce overrated, no INTs, pass interference, doesn't tackle well. Can find better in the draft. No, dude, we both got vowels on the end of our last name. Joey, come back to reality. Quick, dude, where you at, man?
Mike, they don't need to find better in the draft. They got Jasir Taylor. How many times?
Justin, how many Sauce Gardners come in the draft every year? God, I met you. He's my cousin. I met him at a barbecue. I know this guy. Your mother made sauce for me.
They got Jasir Taylor.
And you're doing this.
So wait, you're telling me an Italian hates sauce? Is that what I'm hearing?
Unbelievable. You call yourself Italian. Sauce is great on Sundays all the time. And then here you go doing this. Okay.
What is this accent?
It's pretty good. You ever heard Italian people talk?
Yeah. Yes, I'm Italian, Mike. My maiden name is Tucci. Or not my maiden name. My mom's.
My maiden name.
My maiden. Listen, man, it's been a long day. It's been a
congratulations on your nuptials.
Appreciate it.
Zachary Burner. Are you saying Aaron Glenn is trying to copy Dan Campbell to a T and stink for a year and a half? No. Hopefully not.
No, their goal is not to stink. They're not trying to lose. They're not trying to lose games. In fact, I would argue that they're trying even harder to win games now, because if you want to keep a guy like Breece Hall, losing the rest of the way probably isn't going to convince him to come back. But if you win some games, show that you're going in the right direction, that'd be nice.
Zachary Burner again. No Dak or Kyler Murray trades. Dak would be awesome.
Dak's up. Dak
I do immediately.
I'm not putting Dak in the same category as Kyler.
Kyler Murray, my prediction, because I think the Cardinals are still making a mistake not going back to him because Brissett stinks.
I got Brissett in fantasy.
I think when Rodgers retires, I think the Steelers get him.
Rodgers sounds like he might want to play another year.
Yeah, I want a lot of things.
Well, the Steelers also would like to keep him. That's the report. I think they bring back, if Rodgers is open to it, I think they bring back Rodgers next year.
That just seems like.
I mean, I'm not saying they should. That's what it sounds like right now. But I don't know. I know it's.
What would be worse, that or Brady's last year? Because Brady's last year, after he broke up his marriage to play for an 8-9 team.
No, definitely Rodgers. I think Brady was still a top 15 quarterback when he retired.
Didn't Brady have like a 6.0 yards per attempt or something crazy like that?
Maybe my memory is failing me. This is not a Peyton Manning situation. I thought Brady still had it.
Peyton Manning was at least hurt like crazy too. So
I thought Brady still had it.
Peyton had neck fusion surgery and stuff.
Dude, Brady's last year, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, 4,694 yards.
Wasn't his yards per attempt like crazy low or something?
6.4. Who gives a shit, man? Sign me up for that. Like
8-9 too.
Okay, dude. 4,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, 67% completion percentage. I will absolutely sign up for that. Like, I don't think he was amazing. It was clearly like down from his previous year. I think he was still probably like a top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
And then 2 more. J Mark, how has Thomas played this year? It feels like a stretch to make him CB2 with the playing time he has.
He played well.
Very brief, but he's looked like a pretty good player when he's been in there.
Absolutely looked like he's belonged. I mean, he started this past week and he gave up 1 catch to T. Higgins. I know it was the touchdown. That was it. Like he gave up 1 catch.
I think he was expecting more to be over the top, so that may not have even been totally on him.
Yeah, and that's just a tough one-on-one deep ball with no safety help against T. Higgins. Good luck any corner, right? Like I think
he made a pretty good catch on it too. It was like kind of.
I think AZ Tom, he's good luck. He's gonna have his flaws. Like an issue with his game, he doesn't have great deep speed. So I think there's gonna be times where he gets
as T. Higgins showed.
He's gonna get beat over the top sometimes. Ideally, if you have a ball hawking safety, that doesn't matter. The Jets don't have that, right?
They have Tony Adams.
They have Tony Adams and Malachi Moore, neither of whom are capable of doing that. So I think it's gonna be a little more amplified now. But ideally, if you upgrade your safety room, I see no reason why, if Stevens is playing like he is now, Stevens, AZ Thomas, Jarvis Brownlee can't be your starting quarterback trio next year.
Zachary Burner to finish us off. You think A.D. Mitchell will play Sunday? Probably not.
Probably not. Mechie might.
I think Mitchell needs to learn the offense a little bit.
Yeah, Mechie might. I mean, it's a very interesting wide receiver room as to what they do with it going forward, right? Because you still have Lazard there.
I feel like they have 4 of the same player in that receiver room.
You have Tyler Johnson, who I think has done well. Like I kind of like Tyler Johnson.
But stylistically, I feel like Mechie. I like Johnson's a slower version of Mechie, Mechie, Mitchell, Smith.
I wonder if
Mechie Mitchell 5 times fast. See how that goes.
I have a take. I think Arian Smith's the odd man out.
Really?
I think Aaron Smith's the worst of the group. Well, Mechie, I don't know. Mechie, I have no idea what he is.
Well, I mean, maybe for this year. I think because Tyler Johnson's not going to be back next year.
Well, I'm just talking about because guys are going to have to be healthy scratches at this point. And I know Jets fans are going to hate it. I don't think Lazard's going to be the guy. I think they like Lazard as a blocker. I think Lazard's got a role. I think Lazard does something the others don't. So I think it's Garrett Wilson.
Mitchell block? I don't remember. I don't think so.
He's 6'4", right? 6'3", 6'4". I don't think
he's really that big.
I think he's like 6'3", 80 Mitchell.
He's 6'2".
So,
6'2", 205.
I don't remember him being a good blocker, and I'm going to assume he's not because that doesn't seem like the type of player he is.
I don't have my scouting report pulled up, so what I'm going to do is Google Adonai Mitchell scouting report and base my entire.
You should do that. That's a great idea.
Whoa! Wow! I pulled up the Bleacher Report one. Guess who his pro comparison was?
Is it a guy on the Jets?
Josh Reynolds.
Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, Reynolds
had speed when he was younger.
He's way faster.
Josh Reynolds?
Yeah, he's way faster than present.
Before he got shot and got old, yeah.
God. He's way faster than present day Josh Reynolds, but maybe, I guess I could see it.
Mitchell is a poor blocker at this stage. Okay, there we go.
I'm not shocked by that. He doesn't strike me as a compete in the trenches kind of receiver. I don't think he's that kind of guy, like getting dirty and blocking.
And then J Mark, I'm really sad about Sauce. Really believed he was going to be our cornerback for a long, long time.
So did we.
He was number one. Was supposed to be retired for Sauce Gardner, man.
Chosen one. He was the chosen one.
We're never gonna. We may fall into it years down the line. They are never drafting a cornerback that good for a very long time.
We said that at the Revis probably. Now,
again, that was still a while, and he wasn't as good. So yeah,
I'm not saying Sauce is Revis, but they drafted another All-Pro corner. I think their cornerback.
All right, so 2041, when the Jets kill me from a heart attack,
or 2026, Jasir Taylor breakout campaign. He won't even be under contract. Then they got to.
It was very fun. You guys aren't in the work Slack exchanges, but I asked our Chargers guy, who's appeared on the show, Jason Reed, friend of the show. Yeah, I'm like, "What's the scoop? Like, is he good?" He goes, "LOL, bad." I'm like, "Terrific."
You immediately respond, "Terrific!" Exclamation mark. That was it. That was the extent.
But you know what? From the mean streets of Asbury Park, New Jersey, Jasir Taylor.
Mean streets? Is it really the mean streets?
I'm in Monmouth County as we speak right now, and he is a Monmouth County product. Wow. I think he went to Brick High School, so yeah.
Oh, cool. Look at that.
I'm sure it wasn't D. Milliner
or Kyle Wilson.
Mm-hmm. Calvin Pryor, if we want to go into just defensive backs in general.
What other corner busts have they had besides
Dexter McDougal?
Well, a third round pick. He was definitely a bust, but like.
Are we just doing first round picks?
And second. What are the corners they drafted in the second round? I'm trying to remember.
Well, let's at least do first round. Sauce.
Well,
they had no corners between Milliner and Sauce in the first round.
And then none between Revis and Milliner, right?
Yeah,
Kyle Wilson, obviously. We said that. But before Revis, what was the last corner they took in the first round? I don't even know. Aaron Glenn?
Before Revis, the last in the first round, you're asking.
Glenn was a first round pick, right?
Corner. Oh my God, Aaron Glenn.
It is Aaron Glenn. That's what I'm saying.
Aaron Glenn. Yeah. How about that little 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
So what I'm hearing is future Jets head coach Kyle Wilson.
Oh, no. Let's see if we can do second round because I don't have all like the research tools up right now, and this is for some reason putting them out of order, which I don't like.
I can't remember the last second round corner the Jets had.
Justin Miller in 2005.
Oh yeah. Hey, return specialist God, Justin Miller. Great returner.
Wow, these Rex drafts after the first couple rounds, man, a lot of them are.
Hey,
oh my God, Josh Bush. I remember that one. Oh my God.
I remember Josh Bush. Hey, respect Tommy Bohannon.
Marcus May, safety. Yeah, they really don't. Perry Nickerson. They really don't draft a lot.
Perry Nickerson, who, by the way, is still in the NFL.
Yes, he is. Wes Austin in the 6th round.
Yep.
Bryce Hall.
Bryce Hall. Michael
Pinnock,
Carter,
Brandon Eccles.
Michael Carter, Eccles, Pinnock, Carter.
Yeah, this team really does not draft very many.
They don't draft day 2 corners outside of McDougal. Like, who else have they drafted? That's Justin Miller.
Justin Miller, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Derek Strait. Who remembers him, Jets fans?
It's before my time, I think.
That was 2004.
It is indeed before my time. What position is he?
That was Jonathan Vilma in the first round, which is actually a good pick.
Yes, Vilma. Absolutely. Rookie of the year.
Good Lord.
Wow.
So
we got a good question.
Was that horrible bust they drafted? Well,
you have to be.
You have no idea how little that narrows it down.
You have to be more specific.
You have no idea.
Oh, she's talking about Ja'Kai Polite.
Oh, Ja'Kai Polite. He was a pass rusher. Yeah.
Oh, no. Quentin Coples. My bad. Quentin Coples.
Coples actually was okay, and then Bowles just didn't know what to do with him, and he screwed him.
He was a bust. Did he? I don't think he played a game after leaving the Jets.
I thought he started off okay, and then when Bowles came in, he just was out of place, and Or am I remembering that wrong?
I don't think he played a game after leaving the Jets, so that's not a good sign.
That is not a good. It's amazing how many Jets draft busts don't. Like, what's worse for a GM? Like a Darnold thing where your pick is bad and then later they become better on some other team, or if it's like a Calvin Pryor where they leave your team.
Definitely the latter. Definitely
never play again.
Yes, absolutely the latter. Who's a guy I was shocked kind of didn't have any career after the Jets? Jordan Jenkins. He had like 1 year with the Texans, and that was
he was a good Jet.
He was a fine player. I thought he was a solid, like he was unathletic, and he was an edge rusher who couldn't rush the passer.
And he wore number 48, which just doomed him from the beginning.
Like those guys are, it's tough in the NFL to carve out a role like that. But I thought he was a good run defender, a good edge setter.
He was a third-round pick who played like a good third-round pick.
Yeah, he started 3 years with the Jets, I think, maybe 4.
Didn't Coples play for the Raiders? I remember him blowing up JDD on a play.
Did he really?
I think he was with the Dolphins for a little bit, wasn't he?
He played 6 games with the Dolphins. That was the extent of his career after the Jets, and it was the same year the Jets cut him. He recorded exactly 0 tackles.
Here's why you don't get too excited about some drafts, though. I remember that was like the first I had to be. So 2012, I was 15, and that was the first year I like kind of knew I was going to do sports writing, and I like was getting into the draft. Yeah, and I remember that year.
15. That's crazy.
That was the Andrew Luck year. Every single mock draft to start out had Andrew Luck 1 and Quentin Coples 2. Every single one. I remember that because I'm like, oh, they got Quentin Coples.
Yeah, man.
Wow, that's Luke Kuechly in that draft. Fletcher Cox.
Was that 2012?
2012. Chandler Jones, the Jets passed on. Dante Hightower, David DeCastro, Kevin Zeitler, who's still playing. Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith's still playing.
The late Doug Martin. A lot of good players they passed on.
J. Mark asked, will there be a podcast tomorrow? We haven't talked about that, Mike. I think so, right?
I think so, too.
I think so, too. I think there's still
we're going to do some mid-season awards. We're going to do more.
Yes, we do need to do that.
The return of Justin's not safe for work title.
The Bears and Niners, by the way, were the teams that traded or tried to trade for Jermaine Johnson. Jets wanted a second. Interesting. So Schultz, that's Jordan Schultz reporting that. Schultz reporting that the Jets wanted a second. Connor Hughes reported that the Jets did have
a second and didn't get it.
Of a second-round pick on the table. Well, Schultz is saying they wanted a second. I assume they didn't get it. Hughes is saying the Jets had a second-round pick on the table and wanted more, which I'm not going to lie, Mike.
A second and more for Jermaine Johnson, I don't know.
That feels a little greedy. That feels like if you got a second for Jermaine, look, I love Jermaine, and I love the statement that he put out. Like,
I do wonder what some guys are thinking, though, where it's like, man, Sauce just signed the biggest contract ever, and they still got rid of him.
Did you see?
Like, how do you think that affects players who want new contracts?
Did you see the Jermaine statement? What he said?
Oh my God, it was great. Yeah.
What a gem of a human being.
What a guy! Like, you want everybody to be like Jermaine. He was
told to his face that the Jets were not trading him,
and then he tried to anyway.
I know they didn't like shop him. I know we can use whatever verbiage we want. They were fielding many offers from teams and seriously considered trading him and had serious trade conversations about moving on from him. And then he comes out and he goes, man, I'm going to miss my guys, but I'm all in on this team. I love this team. I love this fan base. I want to be here forever. What a guy.
What a guy, man. What a guy.
Jets are lucky.
And then they'll extend him and trade him next year.
Oh, well, Jets are lucky to have him. That said, second round pick, I might have taken it. I'm about to take it now.
You can't have like 18 rookies on a 53-man roster. Like, you got to have some players here.
Sure you can. The Rams did that like 2 years ago.
They had Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay.
Well, Aaron Glenn and Fernando Mendoza step right up to the plate. Right? But yeah, I think we'll be doing a stream tomorrow. We could do the midseason awards, I guess. We'll see. Because there's still so much trade content.
I thought it was just going to be, they trade Quincy and then maybe Brees and then we go into that. But
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the show tomorrow is because I feel like there's so much to talk about with like.
If you told me there was one, I really genuinely before today would have thought they would have traded Garrett Wilson before they traded Sauce.
Oh, I wouldn't have.
I really thought he was that untouchable.
I wouldn't have. I thought Garrett was more untouchable. I would not.
But he was number 2. If
like
either number 1 or number 2 of guys you thought they never trade.
Pre-extension, I would have said Garrett could get traded. But once they extended him, the entire part with that was like, is Garrett going to want out? Once they extended him, fine. He doesn't want out anymore. Like, I think Sauce, it makes more sense to trade than Garrett. But yeah, like we got, I feel like there's just as much to talk about that we didn't get to today about moves the Jets didn't make versus the ones they did make.
Yeah, we'll get into that tomorrow about Quincy, about Brees.
Jermaine, like, there's a lot.
If they traded Jermaine too, there's no reason to watch any Jets game for the rest of the year if they got rid of him too.
Dude, the D-line rotation.
Oh my God.
It'd be Will McDonald and friends. Let me know.
Will McDonald's gonna get quadruple teamed.
Oh my God. It'd be Will McDonald splitting, he'd be out there every play. He'd be out there with Jay Tufele, Tyler Barron.
Look, I know I'm higher on him than you. Like,
no, I mean, that's not his, like, yeah.
Genuinely, like, how is he gonna? He's gonna get double teamed every single play.
Right. Well, at least they got Jermaine, so they at least have.
They got Jermaine, but yeah,
and I'm happy about that. But anyway, what a day, Mike. Do we have any final thoughts? Any summation of your feelings of today?
I can play taps again. It's a day I never thought would come. It's a situation I never thought would come to pass.
It's the fact of both of them getting traded in one day.
Both of them getting traded within an hour and a half of each other.
It could have been more, dude. Like, all the reporters were like, more. They're
that shit pissed me off. Keep watching. Ha ha ha.
You're slumped over in my chair. Like, please, no more. I've had enough. Kill me. Like, I've had enough. This is too much.
It's one of those things. I hope it works out, but if it does, like, this is the move that's going to define Darren Muji for better or worse. Yes. If he works,
100%.
This trade kicked everything off. If he fails, they're going to look at this and say, could you ever have thought you could have traded Sauce Gardner, you stupid idiot, and then he gets fired?
I think this, like, today officially retires the Jamal Adams trade discourse. For years, the talk is always, and I know Joe Douglas being gone is part of that too, but for years it was like, well, the Jets, look at what the haul the Jets got from him. And every time Garrett Wilson or ABT would do something well, be like, well, we got this guy for Jamal Adams. No one's talking about that anymore. And everything is going to it's going to revolve around this trade. The entire discourse for the next 5 to 10 years of the Jets is going to revolve around what they do with these picks, for better or worse.
You need a franchise quarterback. You need another Armand Membu level building block who they don't trade.
Look, man, they
hit another Mason Taylor type player in the second round. You need to replicate what you did because I think they drafted pretty well this year.
I agree. They hit on their first 2 picks.
The only ones they haven't hit on are Arian Smith and Barron. Even then, I think Arian Smith's got something.
I'm not ready to say that they hit on Malachi Moore. I'm not ready to say they hit on Nelly Noah, or I'm not ready to say they hit on Smith.
They didn't not fail on the only
one that's clearly an obvious terrible player
is Barron.
Yes.
I think is already pretty good returns. He needs to do that 3 years in a row. Can he do it? I don't know. I hope he can, but I don't know.
I think Arian Smith is bad, and I think he's going to be bad, but we don't know that. We don't have enough sample size to say that.
We need a quarterback who throws in the ball to see.
We need a quarterback that throws in the ball. Maui Noah, I'm not sure he's going to be even a third linebacker caliber player, but I think he has a chance to be that.
I thought he was a week ago. Why not now?
Well, I'm saying he can be. I'm not sure he's going to be.
Oh, okay.
I'm not like, I think that's absolutely a role he can fill, and he's going to be, possibly going to next year competing for that role. I just don't know if he's going to be that. Malachi Moore, I'm not ready to say he's a starter yet by any means. I think he's still far too inconsistent, but he's a 4th round pick being asked to start. I wouldn't expect him to be.
And he's done generally. Okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect him to be solidified as a starter after 2 games or 3 games, whatever he's at. Like, obviously, you're not expecting that. But the first 2 picks, I feel pretty confident saying are hits, and I feel reasonably confident that Azaria Thomas is going to be
trending towards hit. I think
he's going to be a good player in this league. I think Azaria Thomas is going to be a good player.
People forget he was supposed to go in the top 50. And they got him
I don't know about the
3 or whatever.
I don't have any strong feelings about the others or positive feelings about the others.
And they're day 3 guys, so whatever.
But the top 3 picks I feel pretty good about. And look, they also they made the Brownlee trade, made the Harrison Phillips, Juwan Briggs trade. Those look good. I think Muji's had more hits than misses right now. So we'll see what he can do with these picks. He's got a treasure chest, man.
And now we wait. That'll be the theme of the rest of the year for the Jets. And now we wait.
Tough day for the Jets. Tough day for Jets fans. Thank you all for sticking with us. I'm not gonna lie, Mike. When you were saying earlier in the chat, you were saying stuff about like It's all meaningless. Who cares about the Jets? Like, you were saying, like,
because when they get rid of this guy, I mean,
and I briefly had an existential crisis where I was like, maybe Mike's right. Maybe this is meaningless. Maybe the Jets are meaningless. Maybe what I do for a living is meaningless. Maybe us sitting up here and talking on stream is meaningless. I'm talking to
just tweeted some stuff really quick.
I'm talking to my laptop really quick, right? Maybe that's meaningless. Maybe everyone here listening to us is meaningless.
Quinnen just tweeted, New York will always have a special place in my heart. To my teammates, coaches, and the entire Jets organization, thank you for believing in me and helping me develop on and off the field. To the fans, thank you for embracing Kid from Alabama and showing love through every high and low. You welcomed me with open arms and gave me a place to grow. Your energy and passion made every game unforgettable. I'm excited for what's next in Dallas and can't wait to get to work.
I forgot Quinnen blocked me on Twitter.
Why?
I don't know, man. I think I've only said good things about him. Like, why?
Yeah, okay.
It's Quinnen Williams. Like,
has he given you anything to be negative about in basically 7 years?
I don't know what bad things I've ever said about him, but
between these two, 11 years of near perfect service.
Yeah,
and we couldn't build him a winner. That's why it was sad, because Sauce was as good as humanly possible. We couldn't build him a winner. That's what got me.
Why did Quantez Stiggers block me on Twitter?
Oh, we like him. Jeez.
I really like Quantez Stiggers. I'm looking.
We know Brees Hall didn't block you, so
no. Brees follows me. He follows all those Jets accounts. But anyway, yeah. Quite a day, man. Quite a day.
Feel free to take us home here.
My final thoughts are I don't know, man. This team
that's a good way to start.
This team puts us through hell, and days like today test that patience that we have built up. But I'm hopeful for a brighter future, Mike. I really am. I'm hoping that after all of this, the shining light at the end of the tunnel is that the Jets can find a quarterback that we can all get excited about for next year. Because that's what's going to happen, Mike. They're going to draft the quarterback. Everyone's going to buy in. People are going to be excited. And I know we like to say, it's meaningless. They're going to win 3 games next year. They just traded away their 2 best players. None of that matters if the quarterback that they draft is good, and we're excited about that. Those will be
just pick one. Look, I like Dante Moore. I think we got to go east of the Mississippi, man, because
those West Coast guys.
We got 2 USC guys and a BYU guy. So
yeah, that's true. When's the last East Coast? I guess
Pennington was Marshall. So yeah,
where was Kellen Clemens? He was
Oregon.
Yeah, so it's also West Coast.
Yeah,
they got to
Dante Moore. I don't know.
Hackenberg, Penn State. All right. And thank you all for joining us on the show today.
What a hopeful note to end on. We could draft Christian Hackenberg with one of these picks.
You could follow Mike on Twitter, Mike Luciano. Follow me on Twitter, Justin Fried. Follow the Jet Press at the Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast, regular podcast. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also become a member today. It's 99 cents, or it's a great way to help support the show. And you get comments, prioritizing chat. We stream live normally every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and live immediately following every single Jets game, and whenever they trade 2 of their best players in the same day. Thank you all for listening to the Jet Press Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Sauce and Quinnen, Godspeed to you.